Hello students, today we are going to be talking about some different parts of grammar. We're going to talk about types of sentences, commas, and punctuation. First, we're going to talk about sentences. The four most common types of sentences. First, we have declarative/statement sentences. These state basic information. You put a period at the end of the sentence, and an example is students failed to complete their essays on time. Another example is exclamation sentences. These express deep feeling or emotion. They should be finished with an exclamation point. An example, I got an A in my research paper. Command sentences, you use this when giving an instruction or a demand. A period goes at the end, but in some cases an exclamation mark may be used. Example, please leave your shoes outside. And a question sentence. This is when you're asking a question. It should be ended with a question mark. Example, what time will you finish writing your English homework? Alright, the four sentence structures, these are going to be really important with our worksheet today. First, simple sentence. This contains only one independent clause. An independent clause is a group of words that has both a subject and a verb, and it expresses a complete thought. Example, I kicked the ball. Compound sentences. A compound sentence contains at least two independent clauses, and it should be joined by a conjunction, which you learned about when you were learning about parts of speech. So, and is our conjunction here. Example, I kicked the ball, comma, and it hit Tom. Next, we have complex sentences. A complex sentence contains a subordinate clause and an independent clause. A subordinate clause is a group of words that has a subject and a verb but does not express a complete thought. Tom cried because the ball hit him. And a compound complex sentence. This contains at least two independent clauses and at least one subordinate clause. Example, Tom cried because the ball hit him and I apologize immediately. Alright, next we're going to jump into commas. We need to make sure we're using commas correctly, and these 12 rules for using commas will really help us. First, use a comma before any coordinating conjunction. Example, and, but, for, or, no, nor, so, yet. That links two independent clauses. Example, I went running, comma, and I saw a duck. Use a comma after a dependent clause that starts a sentence. So example, when I went running, comma, I saw a duck. Use commas to offset a positives from the rest of the sentence. Example, while running, I saw a mallard, comma, a kind of duck. A kind of duck is a positive which gives more information about a mallard. Use commas to separate items in a series. Example, I saw a duck, comma, a magician, comma, and a store when I went running. Alright, some more rules. Use a comma after introductory adverbs. Example, finally, comma, I went running. Adverbs, remember, are describing the verb. Number two, use a comma when attributing quotes. These are very important. So if an attribution comes before the quote, place the comma outside the quotation marks. The runner said, comma, I saw a duck. They also can go after the quotation marks. So I saw a duck, comma, said the runner. Use a comma to separate each element in an address. This is pretty self-explanatory. Okay, you can see the example down here. And always use a comma to separate a full date. So March 15th, 2013, was a strange day. Some more examples. Use a comma when the first word of the sentence is freestanding yes or no. Example, yes, I saw a duck when I went running. Use a comma when directly addressing someone or something in a sentence. Miss Jones, did you update my grade yet? Use a comma between two adjectives that modify the same noun. I saw the big, mean duck when I went running. And use a comma to offset negation in the sentence. I saw a duck, not a baby seal when I went running. Alright, let's talk briefly about punctuation marks. Here are some examples of punctuation marks that you are going to see. First, sentence endings. You have periods, you have question marks, you have exclamation points. A period is placed at the end of declarative sentences and statements. A question mark is used to indicate a direct question, and an exclamation point is used when someone wants to add emphasis or express a sudden outcry. Alright, next we have commas, which we just went over. These show a separation of ideas or elements within the structure of a sentence. Then we have semicolons. These are used to connect independent clauses. This is when you don't want to use a conjunction. And then a colon, which we won't use too much, but it works after introducing a quotation. It also works between two independent clauses and for emphasis. Dash and the hyphen. A dash is used to separate words into statements, and a hyphen is used to join two or more words together into a compound term. Brackets, braces, and parentheses. Brackets are the squared off notations used for technical explanations. Braces are used to contain two or more lines of text or listed items to show that they are considered a unit. And parentheses are curved notations that are used to contain further thoughts or qualifying remarks. I'm not going to talk too much about those because we won't need those today. So let's go ahead and look at our worksheet for today, sentence structure and punctuation worksheet. For this first one, you are going to be identifying if each sentence below in this chart is complete, C, fragment, F, or run-on, R. So my favorite workout music, because that is not a complete sentence, it's not a complete independent clause, this would be a fragment. Down here, you're going to take a look at the sentences below. They each have problems. Correct them in the right column, which is right here. Make sure your sentence has proper punctuation. So, they're late again for practice. This is not the correct form of there, right? It would be they are, which would be like this. They're late again for practice, okay? So, get that done, get that turned in, and please let me know if you have any questions.